You ever really think about what most people base their decisions off of? Like, what is their root behind making a decision? And most people don't even realize it, but their decision making mostly comes from fear. Most people make decisions based off of fear, more so based off of the opportunity that possibly lies behind the decision that's made. So think about it. If fear is the underlying reason why people make a decision, good or bad, most people make decisions based off of fear and they don't even realize it. Then what types of fear are there? I think there's three main types of fear. There's probably more, but these three main types of fear I can, recognize off the top of my head is fear of loss, fear of rejection, and fear of resentment. Now let's touch on these, right, and see why they play the role that they do. So fear of loss, right? What is fear of loss? Fear of loss is, you are afraid to lose something if you make this decision, if you make a decision. I'm afraid of losing blank. If that's a concern for you when you're making a decision, then just say this: what exactly am I losing? Think about it. What exactly are you losing? What's the potential behind you losing this thing, this person, this entity, whatever? If you think you're going to lose it, right? Sit really hard and deep and think about, okay, cool. Worst case scenario, if I do lose it, then what's the outcome of that? But I would suggest more so, why don't you think about what is the opportunity that lays behind the potential loss, right? So, for example, let's see. When I first got started in network marketing, just going to use this as an example. It was $400 roughly, right? Estimated to get started with the company that I got involved with, right? It sounds kind of crazy, right? I got it started with a network marketing company for $400. During that time, okay, I had a decision to make because a few days prior to me seeing the network marketing opportunity, I cracked my iPhone. So I had a decision to make. This unemployment check that I'm going to receive within the next couple days, I could either use that money, which was roughly around $400 that I was getting on my unemployment check, to use to buy a new cell phone, or I'm going to use it to get involved with this opportunity that I actually never even heard of. I don't know nobody that does it. There's nobody who I even can use as a point of reference to say this works or it doesn't work, right? Instead of me saying I'm going to lose $400 on a network marketing opportunity, but possibly gain a phone, I said I'm going to lose the opportunity of getting a new cell phone for the time being so that I can gain a possible opportunity to make millions, okay? This is where I live right now, all right? So $1 million friggin' condo. Not to brag, but it's just the truth. I made a decision based off of the opportunity, not because of fear of loss, right? What's the other fear that I think of off top? Fear of rejection, all right? Fear of rejection. So the fear of rejection is simple, right? I'm afraid that if I present an opportunity to somebody, they're going to say no. I remember one of my mentors mentioned this very early on in my business career. He told me, he said, he who cares least wins. Fear of rejection really only comes from fear of what other people think, okay? Fear of rejection. So you're afraid that if you present something to somebody, if you want to sell something to somebody, I don't care what it is. If you're in network marketing, or if you're selling whatever service or tool you provide, if you think about what someone's no feels like, looks like, more so than the opportunity or the feeling of, if I get this, or if I do this, or if I sell this to enough people, I'm actually gonna generate enough money to do whatever with, right? So use that as an example, right? If you wanna do something, but you're afraid, right? That second fear of rejection. If you're afraid, like, I don't know if I wanna do this because, so many people will possibly tell me no. Think about what it will look like if everyone possibly told you yes. And I'm dead serious. It doesn't matter what you do. I talk about this all the time. Actually, another really good friend of mine, we had a conversation about sales and why, the mindset behind sales is important. I don't care if you have a 9-to-5 job. I don't care if you're in network marketing. I don't care if, you work at Foot Locker. Every single day you walk on earth, you are either selling or buying something. You may not realize it, but you are. You get in your car to go to work. Guess what? Somehow, some way, that car manufacturer sold you that car. You get home and you watch your favorite TV show. Somehow, some way, that network sold you on the fact that that show needs to be in front of you, and your eyes need to be watching that show with these actors at this certain time. You bought it, right? You go to a game. You are sold on the fact that you're going to watch a professional athlete, perform in a way that is going to make you feel enjoyable while you're watching the program. So I'm saying every day as you're walking, you got to look at sales like this, right? So somebody's always going to say yes. Somebody's always going to say no. Somebody's always going to buy something. Somebody's always not going to buy something. The point of the matter is you got to take the end goal. What is the end result? You got to take, okay, if I'm going to sell something, here's why the opportunity, what the end goal, what the possibilities are at the end, way more than someone telling me no. That fear of rejection needs to be like a non-factor. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't mean anything. And what's the third fear, right? Fear of resentment. I think this is underlined. This is something that most people don't even really notice. They don't really realize. They don't think about as much, but it's true, right? So fear of resentment. What is fear of resentment? Fear of resentment is simply, if I make this decision, okay, people are going to look at me a certain way. People are going to feel a certain way about me if I make this decision. I'm going to give you guys something that I think about when I look at myself, when I look in the mirror. Most people, they'll tell you, if they know me, there's one thing that I'm pretty good at, okay? I'm pretty good at persuasion, and that's not a bad thing. I'm pretty good at influence. I have I would say a decent amount of people that I can influence on a regular basis to go out and be motivated to do more good and positive things in the world than maybe most. How do I have this level of influence to say, right? Influence comes from your level of confidence in what it is you're doing, what it is you're talking about. So if your decision making, right, is based on these fears, and one of your fears is fear of resentment, let me tell you something right now. What you have to realize is this: you're not supposed to care what anybody thinks about a situation or entity that you have a specific thought on. So if I make a decision on doing something, there is very little room for opinions on it. I genuinely could give a fuck about what anyone thinks about a decision that I make. You want to know why? Because this decision is based solely off of how I feel about what I think on the situation, okay? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about a decision that you make. If the decision that you're making is for a greater good, for a better cause, it's going to help the people around you, right? And it causes no harm or foul to anyone around you, and you're moving around with a good heart, good soul, moving around with purpose. Whatever decision you're going to make, okay, it's more than likely going to be something that's going to be beneficial to you and probably most people around you, okay? So there's really no room for people to say, well, shit, man, I don't know if I'm going to make this decision because I'm afraid of what people are going to think about me. Newsflash, you should not have room for people's opinion on your decisions that you make. If there's more energy based on people's feelings towards your decision, you're not making that decision for you. You're making that decision for them. Most people nowadays, they don't make decisions for themselves. They make decisions based upon how it's going to look and how they think other people will feel about it versus making the decision based on what's best for them, all right? If you want to remove these fears, just do one thing. Walk with confidence. Know that what you're doing is for a greater good, for a greater cause. Know that you're going to make mistakes. And guess what? Every single person is probably going to point a finger at you and question what decision you made. You got to remember, everybody makes mistakes. The same people that's pointing fingers will probably make a shitload of mistakes too. So as long as you have a goal, that goal is pretty big, and it's not an easy goal to attain. You're gonna have to deal with some of these obstacles, and some of the biggest decisions that you're gonna make will have a high level of fear in it. Don't worry about the fear, man. Don't worry about the fear. Just do what it takes. Do what it takes. See y'all at the top.